Okay, let's try something out. All right, my name's Don. If you don't know me, I used to have a podcast with my buddy Cam, and now we're trying something new. All right, this is gonna be called Documenting the Climb, and I'm gonna be real honest with you from the start. This is for me. All right, and I do hope others get anything out of it if anyone decides to watch, but if not, this is for the version of me 10, 20 years from now. Okay, that is hopefully made it. Hopefully has what he wants, but if not, can see how far he's come. The point of this is to get better, all right? And that can be better at anything that I'm trying to do, all right? And part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to document my steps, right? I have big goals and things I want to do, but I think that it'd be great to kind of see how my thought process was one day, while I was doing certain things to lead to get there. Like, could you imagine if you had an ability to go back when you were 10, 12, 13 years old and see how you were thinking then, feeling then, that kind of stuff? And in a sense, it's a little bit of a journal and a little bit of self-help exercise, because I'm trying to learn a lot of things, as we'll get into. Don't worry, just stick with me now. A lot of different things. So this podcast, whatever it might be, we're talking about books that I've read, things that I've learned, things that I'm doing, however I'm thinking at that moment. And sometimes it might be fun, sometimes it might be deep, might be whatever. And trying to improve as a communicator, right? And I don't know if you can tell, I typically do talk pretty fast. So I'm trying to get better there, better storytelling, whatever it might be, all right? And if you are a person that's also on the climb, on the journey, on the whatever, and you feel alone, here I am, right? Because we're the same way, have the same things going on, so let's get right into it, all right? Through this, like I said, we're talking about whatever. I'm gonna try and do 2 of these a day, one in the morning, one at night. Might talk about my day, might talk about whatever happened, might talk about what I learned. A book that I'm currently reading, just started this one, so we'll get into it, all right? The biggest thing to remember here is that we're all learning, we're all growing, we're trying to do whatever, and I think that's more of a reminder to myself, right? But there's some things that I think about a lot that, I'm trying to kind of get out there. And a little background about me, if this is your first time watching it and you're still here, wow. But I'm an author. I wrote a book. I'm writing another book right now. That's kind of also why I'm doing this. Former athlete, and I'm just a hard worker, right? When a person's trying to learn who they are beyond just the ability to work, right? My thought process is I'm trying to develop as a person, right? Currently in school, going to my senior year, and who knows what happens after this, right? And currently, this is not my normal room. I'm in Florida, 1,000 miles away from home for the first time ever, and can't lie, it's kind of nice, but it's also a big learning moment. So I kind of want to go and document the rest of this, right? I've been here for about 4 weeks, so you won't get the beginning part of it, the growing pains of it all, but we're going to kind of get as it gets going, right? So kind of as it kind of gets more ramped up, right? And I can't talk about the specific projects I'm doing, even though I really wish I could. Maybe when I'm done with it, we'll see how that goes, but currently I can't. The first thing I want to talk about is questioning, all right? And I have been described as a grown child, and not because I don't take things seriously, but because I question why to everything. I'm sure you remember as a kid, or go and talk to a kid now, not in a creepy way, don't go to any random parks, but how many times kids ask, why this, why that, is God real, is Santa real, why do you do that, Dad, why this, Mom, why does she do this, why does she look like that? Kids ask everything, right? And I guess I never outgrew that. I think a lot of times as we get older, we outgrow things that we should not outgrow. You know what I mean? And I think a child's curiosity is one of them. And I think it's so important to ask why, not just why and how, right? Not just why that thing works or how that thing works, but I think why of everything, especially why of ourselves, right? Like, why do I have these beliefs? Because I think a lot of times if you ask why you have this belief, you'll find out that your belief is not real. You know what I mean? And I think like a lot of the things in life are people parroting things. So if you have a belief that you cannot explain or defend or whatever, it's not your belief. You don't have that belief. You're just parroting someone else's belief. You are acting as a puppet to their belief. You know what I mean? This is not going to go down some rabbit hole of politics. Well, no, but like that can even be a thing. Your political beliefs have to be your own. You have to know why you believe a certain thing and explain it and be like, yes, I actually do believe this. Because I think a lot of times too, and this is also why I'm doing this, right? Because sometimes I might have a belief and you got to get outside of your head, take your thoughts outside of your head and put it onto a camera or put it onto paper or talk to a friend about it, right? And maybe that's going to happen to me. So certain beliefs that I had, I might not have anymore after doing this. And I'm going to take an example, right? And this is a weird example that I just personally have a gripe with, but it's going to explain what I'm talking about, all right? I swear, I cuss. I might not do it on here. I'm trying not to do it, trying to be professional, but we'll see. I'm just going to be myself. But I swear, okay? There has not been a day in probably over a decade that I have not sworn at least once. And look, I'm not doing it as a bad thing, right? It's just like anything else, any other conversation tool, right? The same way that when you try to make a point, you talk louder, or you open your body language up because you're trying to show that you are secure or whatever you're doing, or point and move. But these are all conversation tools. I use swearing that same way, right? If I'm trying to make a point to it, I might add a swear to it. It's okay. But one thing I noticed, especially from being in Florida, I don't know if it's just that from the north we swear more or what, but I've only heard 2 people swear since I've been here. I've been here for a month now. Why? Why is it that people think swearing is so bad, right? Because like my grandma, God bless her heart, once, so here once, not, I don't know why I did that, but every time I swear, Donald, what are you doing? Swearing, come on. Why is that a bad thing? Why is it that we decided that a word is a bad thing, right? Because like, fuck is the same thing as tissue box. They're both just words that describe something and we gave meaning to it, right? And I think a lot of people just don't question things. We're told things. So when you're a kid and you're told swearing is bad and that you should not swear, and then that's reinforced into your head, you think, oh, swearing is bad, I should not swear. Why? Well, if you ask them why, it's like, because it is bad. Because my mom or dad or grandparents or teacher told me so. But why is it bad? It's a bad word. But why is it bad? How did it become a bad word? And these are, once again, a very small example, but for a purpose, right? Questioning why you do anything. Why is it that I dress the way I dress? I mean, this is not a great example. I'm wearing a tank top in my room, okay? But I dress the way I want to dress because I think it looks good. Prime example, we went clothes shopping before I got here. I needed some more or whatever. And some people tried putting things on me that were just not me, but it might have looked good to them or looked good for fashion society or whatever, but it wasn't me. So I'm going to walk around something that I don't feel good in, I don't think I look good in. So the confidence is not going to be there. So why would I do that? Right? Why would I wear something that doesn't make me feel confident or feel good or feel whatever purpose that I want it to? Because someone else told me to? That's silly. And I think a lot of things, because we don't question why, we live our lives for other people, right? I think that there's so many people that I have a theory, and there's no mathematical basis to this, but it's an estimate, that maybe 2/3 of the people that were alive here didn't actually live. And that's kind of being generous. I think that a lot of people have lived lives that they thought was theirs, but really someone else's, right? And don't get me wrong, we are all just a concoction of our circumstances, right? And I think that this whole debate of, do we have free will versus everything's just determined for us, I think like a lot of things in life, it's not just one way or that way. I think it's kind of in the middle. So to take the point of, the Sam Harris of the world of how, nothing in life is up to you because you didn't decide, the atoms that you're made out, like all that stuff, like sure, you can take that, right? And I didn't decide to be born in Rhode Island, to the family I was born to my body type or whatever. Of course not, right? I go to the gym, right? I probably can't tell, but I'm getting there, okay? But I didn't decide to be the way I was. I didn't decide to be a fat kid, or I guess actually that's the point, I kind of did, right? I was chubbier as a kid. I had certain things that made my metabolism slower, but I still made the decision every single day to keep eating those cookies, even though knowing that. And then it got to the point where I had to stop eating those cookies to lose the weight, and then now I will eat a protein bar to try and gain muscle. These are all decisions. Now, sure, certain things are not up to you, right? You might not be born on second or third base, or you might not be born with the ability to do certain things. Some people are natural born salespeople. Some people pick it up way faster than others. Like Charlie Munger says, and it's not only as a matter of fact, but we're back at it. Cut that back in. My phone timed out. But the thing with a lot of things in life, we have certain. So like I was saying, like Charlie Munger said, and it's not once again as a matter of fact, but when teaching a young person how to invest, they either get it right away or they never get it. Now, I think that could be played for or whatever, but we kind of have these beliefs for everything where it's like, okay, you just have it or you don't. No, that's not how that works. And I think that it's kind of disrespectful to people that have it, right? Like I've been told so many times, oh, I wish I could work as hard as you can. No, you don't. Because working hard is one, like you have to work hard at working hard, if that makes sense. You have to build certain things to make you work. You don't just sit down and work hard. Like that's what it looks like, but in a sense, like working hard every day or every time you do it is a decision to not stop. It's like training a behavior, training your identity to do that thing. Now, once again, why do I work hard? Okay, there's certain things that came from my past and I was rewarded for certain things with certain things because I worked hard. That's what happens to it, right? And then eventually you take that identity into yourself and you become a person that works hard, or that you realize or you think that you will get rewarded only for that thing or because of that thing. And that leads me to my next topic, learning the right lesson. This is something that I'm kind of been infatuated with about recently, and I heard it from Sean Pori on Modern Wisdom, and it's been an idea that I'm kind of playing around with. You know, I tried to it with my dad, and it didn't go well. I think maybe I explained it wrong or what. But this idea of learning the right lesson, and it comes from how he said that we always think that when you fail, you learn. You know, it's not failure, it's learning. It's not a loss, it's a lesson. And it's very true. But like he said, how do we know we're learning the right thing every single time? Because so often we might learn a lesson that's not the correct lesson. Now, I don't want to technically take his story, so I'm trying to do one of my own, right? One that I was actually on the phone call with my friend recently, and she's been through it, right? We're close. She's told me everything about her life, all this kind of stuff or whatever. And I remember she said to me, she goes, you know, I realized I was sabotaging myself. I was like, what? She goes, well, every time a new guy would come in, I would, you know, eventually get to the point where I'd tell him what the old guys did to me, right? You know, how they did things or whatever, and how it made me feel, and how I got screwed over in the past. And she said that they would take that, internalize it, and realize what they could do to me and how much I put up with. And she goes, now I'm just not gonna tell him anything. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, because I've done the same thing, and I don't know if that's the right lesson. Because the lesson should not be, I'm not gonna open up anymore. Lessons should probably be, if I tell them these things, right? So you get to the point where you feel comfortable enough, you're long enough in the relationship, you then tell them this, right? So you have a decision to make. Do I tell them? Do I not tell them? I don't think this is the right decision, not telling them. Telling them is. You then tell them that, and then it's up to them. They either don't do that thing. They know what hurts you, what makes you tick, how you've been hurt in the past, all these things. They either don't do it and try to, be better, be different, make up for those things, help you realize that you are not, how you treated in the past, all that kind of stuff. Or they do what the past guys have done. They hurt you, they do what you put up with. The decision, the lesson there is to tell them and not put up with those things if they continue to do it after you tell them. The lesson is not, I'm not gonna tell anyone anything. Because it doesn't mean you're not still gonna get hurt, right? New people knowing or not knowing what has happened to you in the past could do those things, whether on purpose or by accident, and you still get hurt. So if it is possible to still get hurt in those ways, whether you tell them or not tell them, why would you not tell them that? And see if they would actually do it to you. And I said to her, I'm like, look, you have to find someone that looks at you how I look at you, but in a romantic sense, right? Like, I know all of your stuff, and I would never use it against you, ever. The lesson there is to find someone that would do that for you and with you in a romantic sense. We're not romantic, okay? That's just not what it's gonna be. We're just friends, just never gonna date. Find someone that would do that for you, that dates you. In my opinion, that's the right lesson to learn. And then now I'm thinking about so many things, and even just like when I learn something, like, is this the right lesson? Am I taking the right thing away from here? And that's just a small, simple thing, right? Like, people think, oh, okay, like, no, you're not gonna live your life. No, I'm still living my life. I'm just thinking a little bit more, right? I'm I'm thinking like, okay, cool. Like, is this what I should be learning from this, right? Should the lesson be, okay, this one girl, she didn't want me, so no girl ever wants me again. Or, hey, you know what? Okay, for example, my first girlfriend ever. Hated when I opened the door for her. I mean, that was when we got in an argument over that. We broke up because I got her flowers. She didn't like that. Should a lesson be for me, when I first had that girlfriend, for the rest of my life, be, I should never open the door for a girl again. Never get her flowers. Never get a girl who likes that. Probably not, for me at least. Because for me, I like being able to do those things. Being a gentleman or being caring, whatever, even in the smallest ways. I like that. So if I like that, should I not find a girl who likes that too? The lesson for me is to find someone that likes that too, not do this ever again. Lesson for someone else who does not care about what I care about or like that or whatever, could be that, okay, I don't want this kind of girl. The lesson there is not, don't do this action, don't have these tendencies, don't have these behaviors. It's find someone who likes these behaviors. There's differences, right? I think a lot of times, especially with our behaviors, right? I'm trying to get bigger into the ideas and thought process of behavior in itself. But we get so caught up, I think, on, okay, this was punished, let me change the behavior. And that's the biggest thing in the world, right? Like, there's been an experiment where they had a mouse, okay? And they put it in a tube and they tied this coil to the tail. And the reason they did this is to measure the force that the mouse pulled with. And for the first time with the mouse, they put cheese, the smell of cheese. They wafted cheese into the tube and the mouse took off. And they measured it, we'll just say, the force by 1, okay? So like, we'll say each measurement of force is just 1. Then they put the smell of a cat and the sound of a cat, and the mouse, 4 times the force of pulling. And that's because as mammals, we are much more motivated to run for something than to run towards something. Well, we take that into our acts of behavior, and it's like, okay, this person made me feel bad when I did this. This person reacted in a way when I did this. Let me change this thing so I don't feel bad, so they don't do this thing to me ever again. Which kind of leads to people you seeing in, you don't want to disappoint mom and dad. You don't want to make your wife or your husband angry, that kind of stuff. And I think there is just once again, questioning why and learning the right lesson. Just sometimes saying, is this the right lesson? Am I emotional? This might mean taking it 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or a week later and revisiting it. Be like, okay, now there's no emotion here. What do I really learn? Because sometimes the emotion, like it simmers down, but you still kind of have it. And I think that just kind of taking that and learning the right lesson is the biggest thing. And that's the time for today. Hopefully I'll see you guys later today. If not, see you tomorrow. But I think it's a good basis, right? If you stuck with me to the end, congrats. If not, and you're Donald in 25 years, I hope you're doing well.